Well, this is a rather unpleasant situation. I'm actually rather fond of this city, so having it turn into an ice cube is not really the sort of thing I'm happy about. Well, luckily Sigrun seems to have some idea of what's actually going on. An early end of the world. Well, honestly, that seems as if someone has made a bit of a mistake. It does happen from time to time. Higher beings are surprisingly lax in their planning, after all. Well, with Rashmi here, I'm sure myself and Sigrun will be able to sort this all out. Of course, it does seem as if a trip to the lands of the dead is going to be needed at some point. I'm not very fond of that part of the realm, if I'm perfectly honest. I'm not entirely sure my cash will be enough to pass some of the trials there. At least not easily. But I'm sure we'll think of something. This is Red Moon role-playing.
I can't help but feel a little touch of my father here as well. I turn to Rashmi. He is wrong about this. This is not the place nor the time, and I don't know. Is there anything you can do? Maybe...
Certainly. He seems to be alone, doesn't he?
Yes, for now.
I suppose if we bring him down, that will bring an end to all this, wouldn't it?
Don't be fooled. It might not be as easy as it seems.
Certainly. Well, do you have any other ideas? Do you think you could convince him to perhaps postpone Ragnarok for a couple of years?
It shouldn't need to be postponed. It's not supposed to happen now.
Well, it seems to be your word against his, and he does have the rooster. What happens if you shoot the rooster?
That's a very good question.
Probably like most things, it gets reborn.
You would have a roast chicken, and then after a period of time, it will probably be reborn, or another rooster will come to take its place and its name.
If you'd like me to, I could certainly put a brief and quick end to that creature. Seems rather forlorn about its situation, doesn't it?
Maybe wait for Emmanuel to come here.
Did someone say my name? I say as I arrive with my eagle warriors, making a grand entrance, which is one of my knacks. And I stroll forward, seeing the two of you. I look at this large giant, the rooster, and say, well, friends, what's the situation?
Ulvadi here is certain that Ragnarok has begun, but I tell him he's wrong.
Oh, and that's what he wants, is it? Ragnarok to happen, nothing else?
He wants gold, so if you could part with some of your gold, maybe we could get him to go back home.
Can I part from some of my gold? Rashmi, did you hear? Sigrid asked me if I can part from some gold.
I'm assuming you have quite a few pieces of gold to part with, don't you?
Oh my, I certainly do. Fellow friend Jotun, good day, good day. Enjoying your icy end of the world?
He sniffs the air, and he says, I smell fire in your wake. What do you want, Teodo Godling?
Well, apparently you're in want of some finance. I can supply finance in moments rather than... Well, I don't know, are you waiting for people just to start giving you money to stop making it cold? I mean, I can do that very quickly, just saying.
He strokes his beard a little bit. He appears to be thinking it over. And he says, I'm unsure. So I'm going to ask you to give me a probably persuasion plus presence roll.
But before he does that, I would like to use one of my knacks, if that's okay.
Of course.
I do have the knack, don't you know who this is? And, of course, as this haggling is going on, I would say, well, I'm sorry, what was your name? Ulvadi. I'm sure you're not very familiar with the goings-on in this world, being as you are a frost giant, but I can assure you that Emmanuel is both a man true to his words and one of rather luxurious fortune. You see that building over there? He financed that with his pocket money. And last time we were out, I believe he decided that... have you seen the movie Game of Thrones? You know, the one who receives a crown of gold?
Yes.
Yes. Well, he found some inspiration from that, and, well, let's just say that the man we dealt with certainly got crowned, so to speak. It took several hours to heat it up, but it was done. Quite impressive, too.
To be honest, I couldn't have done well with the heating up without your assistance, Rishmi.
Yeah, well, of course, but I don't want to take any credit for your accomplishment.
So the giant looks at you and says, so you are a walking, talking Dropnir. The gold ring possessed by Odin with the ability to multiply itself.
In a manner of speaking, yes.
All right, so give me a persuasion roll to get him to stand down. Since, don't you know who this is, you may imbue a point of legend, Rashmi, which just means you simply take it out of your pool temporarily, and then once you stop using the power, the point goes back into it. And you may grant scale 3 to all of Emmanuel's social roles. So the giant is at scale 2, so you have an effective scale of 1 over him.
Well, my dice pool is 9. What's my target number?
Your target number is going to be 7. The difficulty is going to be, let's say, 4, but you do get plus 2 successes as long as you roll 1 success.
That's 1, 2, 3.
Well, if you got 3, then the enhancement of 2 kicks in, and you have hit 5, so you've successfully convinced him.
Yes, that is exactly what I get, 3 successes.
He says, delaying the eternal wars in order to, what, buy some more time for this world? But very well. If you say you can help my lust for gold, I accept that.
I certainly can, my dear boy. You'll just need to give me maybe a day maximum to get you that gold. Obviously, I don't carry it around in my pocket. But I can definitely have my assets transferred into gold for yourself, and I assure you, it'll be pure gold.
The frost giant nods. He seems very pleased. He, with a crackling sound, he sits back down on his makeshift throne. He says, I knew I would like Midgard as soon as I came here.
Certainly. So, with that sorted, Mr. Rooster, you can stop your cawing. After all, you know it is actually time for the...
The rooster gives you a quizzical look, and the frost giant seems sort of surprised. And he says, yes, once he starts crowing, this probably won't stop.
Ah.
Well then, I do have the alternative solution right here. Sigrun, what do you think?
Sigrun, give me a occult plus resolve roll.
4 success.
So this is not the place for the rooster to crow. The place for him to crow would be Valhalla. So perhaps if you returned the rooster to Valhalla and he crowed there, it might not start Ragnarok proper, but it might interrupt this Fimbulwinter.
I reach out a hand and place it on Rashmi's, probably she's holding her weapon, I take it.
Well, yes, but not aiming it at the rooster.
No, but I just I put my hand on top of your rifle and I say, I think we should probably take him home.
Certainly. I've never been to Valhalla, was it?
Yes. Valhalla. It might not be that easy to get there, but it mostly just the dead are welcome there. Those slain in battle.
I see. Slain in battle, that is the single requirement.
I believe so, yes.
Being slain in battle and then chosen by Odin.
Well, given our nature, maybe we don't have to be slain. Maybe we could just go there.
I would prefer not to die, if that's all right with you.
Yes, I mean, I'm fine dying, but I don't think you two are. Mr. Jotun, do you know of any, let's just say, quicker ways of getting to Valhalla than the usual death by battle. If you're only going for a visit, let's say.
He thinks for a second. He says, well, the Rainbow Bridge touches every point in the universe, including Midgard, but he gestures to the sky. You will see no rainbows here.
Well, surely we just need a nice storm.
But surely since Valhalla is a resting place of the abode of the dead, the giant sort of opines for a moment and then sort of takes an inquisitive thinking pose. You could probably get there by traveling into one of your lands of the dead. He gestures at you. Or finding a friendly Valkyrie.
I start crossing my chin a little. You know... Hang on, let me just make a phone call. Once again, I phone my guides.
Do you actually know a Valkyrie?
Now, I don't know a Valkyrie, but I know a lot about going to the land of the dead. I might be able to organize us all being able to go there in a less immediate manner, but let me just check with the people who know.
Just a moment. Are we... This giant, I'm whispering this, this giant is causing all this trouble. We are going to give him gold, and we're going to bring the rooster back to Valhalla. At what point are we running his errands? I'm just asking, because to me it seems that the easiest solution would be simply to remove him from the equation.
Well, I don't know, old friend. I mean, I've made a deal now. I don't like going back on my deals.
That's true. You can of course always drown him in gold. That would be a new novel way of using it.
Well, yes, but that's a waste of gold. And besides, he's willing to play ball. Plus, also, I have a feeling that whether he's there or not, the rooster is still going to do the thing. Like he said, it started.
Yes, that's true, but he's killed so many people already. There should be some manner of retribution.
You did threaten him with a Game of Thrones style amount of gold.
That's true.
Well, you know, I'm not the realms of the sin punishing. That's some of the other Scions, isn't it?
Yeah,
Am I the only one that think it's... Well, how did the rooster get here to begin with?
Are you going to ask the giant that?
I turn towards the giant and... Is he listening to us, or is he deep in thought, or is he doing whatever frost giant thing he
has crossed
does?
his legs on his throne, and he is whistling a jaunty tune. He seems to not have a care in the world. After all, a very rich Teotl Scion just promised him an enormous amount of gold. That's all he really cares about.
Ulvadi, how did the rooster get here?
Why, Hrungnir gave him to me. Hrungnir, the drunkard of Jutland, who threatened to remove Valhalla and take it to Giantland, and battled Thor himself.
And how did Hrungnir get him out of Valhalla?
Well, I didn't really ask. He... come to think of it, Hrungnir said that I would likely find a lot of gold among the warring nations. I was going to make a few choice investments, you see, but he said that the start of Fimbulwinter would provide an enormous amount of opportunity for profit.
I'm not certain that plan was really that thought through, actually, but it's if you kill all the people, which you have been doing in this area, there will be no one to actually war over the resources.
Sigrun, what's your subterfuge rating?
2. I had 2.
Sigrun, please give me a subterfuge plus intellect roll.
I got a 9.
So that is a failure. We can do several things at this point. You can fail forward if you wish. By that I mean you can intuit the clue that you are being given at a cost of taking a complication at a later date. Or you may simply accept the failure and take a point of what is called momentum. Momentum is a shared group resource. It currently stands at 4. There are 4 points in the momentum pool. At any point, you may say to another player who is about to make a roll, I would like to give a point of momentum to you, and you may take it out of the pool. And you may gift yourself a point out of the pool as if you want. However, there is a story guide veto. If I say, no, you can't take it out of the point for yourself, then that's a no. And generally, if anyone at the table says no, then that's a good sign not to do it. But...
Okay, but I would actually think I would rather fail forward this time and take the complication.
Something about the name Hrungnir sounds familiar. You do know the story of him becoming so intoxicated he tried to steal Valhalla itself and to bury Asgard and kill all the gods. But there was something else about the story that you don't quite remember very well. The story that Ulvadi just told you about Hrungnir essentially giving him a rooster and saying, go make a lot of gold in the world, seems almost too simplistic. It doesn't make any sense. Of course, Hrungnir wants to destroy the gods, and Valhalla is Fimbulwinter and then Ragnarok is the best way to do that. But something about this seems very off to you, as if it's not a true plan, but simply a distraction. Emmanuel, your witch is answering the phone yet again.
I'm so sorry to bother you again. Another question.
How may I serve you, my liege?
Slightly more tricky this time. Say I wanted to take myself and 2 friends on a lovely trip to the lands of the dead without actually dying. Is there a ritual that we'd be able to conduct using your powers, to do that in an easy manner? I know I can just, die, but, obviously not so convenient for them.
No mortal ritual can take you into the lands of the dead, except, of course, unless you want to plunge the dagger into your own heart. But there is a god who can do it. You would be closer to them than I am, but if you would offer a prayer to the god Zolotl.
Ah, yes. So wait, simply just a prayer? Surely there'll be more to it than that.
If you pray to him, he will hear you. And if you are skilled enough, he will answer your prayer.
Do I know much of this particular god? My occult is very low, but my culture, especially Mexican culture, is a lot higher.
I would say that this would fall under Mexican culture. I would say you would make a culture plus presence roll to make a heartfelt plea.
Culture and presence, yeah, okay. Well, very well then. I will hang up and just whisper to Rashmi. I might know the one we can talk to. It'll require a little bit of supplication, but I might be able to arrange for us to get to the land of the dead. Not too much of a price.
Well, certainly, if you think it's worth it, then you have my utmost trust in this matter.
And I pause for a moment, seeing what Sigrun's doing, waiting for her to finish her conversation.
Sigrun, is there anything else you want to ask the ice giant? Otherwise, he's going to simply sit here and enjoy the weather.
No, I think I'm getting quite frustrated with the whole situation, and as before, the sense of Loki's finger in all of this is growing stronger to me. Might be that I just tend to see his working in everything, but this annoys me, and so I just turn to the others and look very flustered and frustrated.
What's troubling you, Sigrun? You seem irritated by something.
If it is my father, Loki, and I really don't need any more of his trouble right now.
I understand. Well, I might have a way of getting us to the land of dead. Obviously, though, dear Rooster, would you mind accompanying us back home?
The rooster says, "Buck, buck," and sort of falls in the line behind you.
Excellent, excellent. All right, then. Well, again, from what I know of that particular god, am I on good terms with them?
Zolotl is the god of outcasts, twin brother to Quetzalcoatl. He is the messenger to Mictlan, the land of the dead.
And is it the sort of god who, again, remind me of this mythology, are we friendly? Might he not like me? Might he already like me? That sort of thing.
He, as a god of outcasts, he tends to bear a lot of misfortune in his life. And his attitude is that of a loyal but resigned person.
Well, in that case, I don't think we've had too many problems. I'm actually quite respectful to those who I need to be respectful to. Very well, then. I will get down on the ground. I will take out my flint knife, which is my birthright knife. I'm not going to spill blood just yet, not if it's not needed, but I will hold it as I begin making my heartfelt prayers to this god, which of course, unlike most people's prayers, go a little further.
All right. Please give me that culture plus presence roll. Let's say it's difficult. Well, let's say it's difficulty 3. But we'll see how well you do.
Okay, hang on. I got a 10, so we're rolling that one again.
All right.
Sadly, that's still only 2 successes.
Oh, alas.
Anything I can do to push that a bit more?
You can fail forward, but there will be a complication.
I think it's fun if I fail forward. Let's do it.
All right. You get a brief sense of calm kind of over you, but as the wind continues howling and the snow falls from the dark sky, you get a feeling that you're not going to be answered anytime soon. The 3 of you, and I'm sorry, the 29 of you, your 25 guards and 1 rooster, all descend down 60 flights of stairs in silence. It takes you the better part of an hour.
Let's get downstairs. Just give it some time. Give it some time. You know, you can't be bothering the gods.
As you walk into the lobby, now completely dark and empty, the security guard having fled into the night, hopefully he didn't freeze to death, you see that the snow has piled up to the height of at least 1.5 feet outside. And as you see one of the large glass doors that enter into the structure, you see a dog pawing on the outside of it, just begging to be let in.
I'll let the poor thing in, of course.
All right, Rashmi, as you approach the door and push it open, you see it's an old hound, maybe a mutt of some kind, muddied fur, untrimmed and dirt-encrusted claws, and cataracted eyes that are weeping tears. You can see the tears freezing and flaking off in the cold.
I'll immediately warm the air around him, poor creature. Must be freezing cold.
As the dog comes in, it sits on its hind legs and shakes a bit of the snow off its fur, splattering all of you with a little bit of dog fur and, dog-smelling water. And it says, "Thanks. Fuck, it's cold out there."
Oh, dear. Yes, it's quite cold. Who might you be?
He looks at you, Rashmi, and says, "Zoloto. Pleased to make your acquaintance."
Oh.
What? Were you expecting my brother? Some sort of giant lizard in the sky with wings and rainbows?
No, honestly, I wasn't expecting anyone. I look over at Emmanuel.
Oh my, you didn't need to come personally. I go and I perform a very regal, well-mannered bow. Like, in the snow as well? I could have got you something, like a car or something.
The dog bows back to you and says, "It is a pleasure to see you again in this form, Obsidian Lord."
The pleasure is all mine. I'm glad you heard me, but again, I hope I wasn't bothering you.
He says, No. I love this city. So many places for a stray dog to go.
That is true. Well,
not as good as Istanbul. That has a lot of cats to chase. But this is good enough.
Well, you must forgive me, dear friend, but I wish to ask of a service. You can, of course, grant it at your will. I am willing to pay whatever is needed. Would you be able to arrange for the 3 of my friends and this rooster here a little trip to the underworld? We need to get to Valhalla, but I was hoping you could help us kind of get halfway.
I cannot get you to Valhalla, but I can get you to Mictlan, Now, the question is, will I do that? I retrieved the bones of humanity from Miklan to populate the world. I sacrificed myself to birth the fifth son. No, I will help you. I would not see this world end, especially not to some... Well, never mind, ma'am. The dog nods at you, Sigrun.
Yes, and I understand. If something is required of sacrifice, I am more than willing to give it.
He says, we will talk about that later. But for now, follow me. The dog trots over to the door that you just came from. But you're on the ground floor, the stairwell. And yet as you open the door, you see there's now a set of stairs leading downwards into coldness and darkness. The dog starts trotting down the stairs.
Well, nothing but to follow, I suppose. I don't assume we will be bringing your men with us, will we, Emmanuel?
Unfortunately, no. Dominica! I'm afraid you are all going to need to stay here. Get back home, get the heaters on. If you can, open the building up to anyone who needs it. If there are homeless people in need of shelter, I'm willing to offer my home to them.
Your graciousness is an inspiration to the world, Obsidian Lord, one of your Eagle World says.
Thank you, I know. Seriously, get home, be safe. Don't worry, I'll be fine without you. I can do some things myself, I suppose.
The dog continues down. You walk for the better part of 2 hours yet again, so you must be very far below the earth. The temperature hasn't changed. It's still incredibly chilly down here. Finally, the dog pauses before a door and sits back on his hind legs yet again. And he says, Chikona Miklan, the abode of the gods of the dead.
And are you sure we can get to Valhalla from here?
He says, walk through the city and their abode. Pay your dues at the Temple of the Lord and Lady of Death, and then continue walking through the city. You will come to the Vale, the place between places, where the dead who believed in no pantheon come to reside. From there, you can find your way to Valhalla.
Sounds simple enough. Thank you again, my good man. May you find all the outcasts you need.
The dog coughs. He seems a little offended you called him a man.
I smile quite cheekily, knowing that I probably caused a bit of offense there. But again, we're friends, it's fine.
It's fine.
In this case, knowing that he, of course, is a beast and not a human.
Alright, you open the door, and you step into a land that is cold, bleak, and dark. It almost looks like a shadow of New York. But up above, there's only a night sky with no stars whatsoever. You look around, and you see, from this vantage point, somewhere around the midpoint of the city, all around you there are stone towers, massive stone towers, stretching high into the sky. Aztec pyramids, but larger than any that are in the world. And beside you is a river, one of the 9 rivers that you know cross through this necropolis. All around you there are Aztec dead. Some are old and possibly ancient. Others appear to be fairly new. They're wearing the same clothing that they did in life. But all of them seem to have wasted away to nothing but bones. And they simply walk around with their skin stretched tightly over things. But they seem none the worse the wear for it. One stops by you and looks you up and down with eyes sunken into the back of his skull. And he says, "Newcomers, huh?"
Well, you could say that. We're just passing through for the moment. I'm sure you recognize me, no?
He says, sorry, you don't really ring a bell.
You know what? I'm not that big on ego. It's fine. We're just passing through. So if you could direct us to... Where do we need to go again, Rashmi?
Oh, sorry, you're asking me? Well, I believe we were going to Valhalla, weren't we?
Oh, yes, but there's so many realms of the dead, aren't there? It gets quite confusing sometimes. Yes, the way to Valhalla. We were told that if we go through the city, we need to pay some respects to, the Lord and Lady of the Dead, wasn't it? Yes. Do you know where they are?
He points towards a windowless stone temple that's surrounded by a pit in the middle of the city. You can just barely see it beyond the towers.
Excellent. That seems to be the way to go. Sigrun, everything all right on your end?
This whole place, it just feels a bit unnatural to me.
I thought you might feel like that. Funny, in a way, it's actually very natural. This is, after all, where things go when they pass. But don't worry, we won't be here too long.
I trust that you know what we are getting ourselves into here.
Of course! It's totally fine. Everything is completely under control. Isn't that right, Rashmi?
I'm not sure I understand. Do they just remain here after they died?
Yes.
Doesn't it get crowded?
The city is ever growing.
That seems awfully contrived. Why not just embrace a system of reincarnation?
Oh, you know how... I kind of lean over. You know how our parents are, or in my case, myself was. It takes an awful lot of time to get them to change their ways, you know. A couple of 1,000 years here and there.
I suppose. Well, certainly let's go to these lords and ladies of the dead and pay our dues, or whatever we're required to do.
Does anyone know what this due really means, though?
It likely will be a price of some kind. Don't worry, I'll pay it.
But I would expect that they ask that price from all of us.
Well, unfortunately, that will simply have to wait and see.
Perhaps you can offer them some gold. Seems to be something you have quite a lot of.
I may have to give something a little stronger here, I have a feeling. But let us see, no need to be glum. Thank you very much, fine warrior. Get back to your peaceful afterlife.
He pulls at the lapels of his business suit, and he was like, I wasn't a warrior. Well, unless you want to call being a corporate warrior part of that. But I guess you wouldn't.
No, wouldn't.
Anyway, he walks off.
And I lead the party towards the great temple.
What a dreadfully dreary existence.
Well, remind me, where do people go when they die when they believe in you?
Well, they simply get evaluated, performance evaluation essentially, and then they get reincarnated into whatever form suits their karmic destiny. It's all rather efficient.
I suppose I can see some merit to it, but surely people want to rest at some point, you know, constantly going back and back and back.
If you're of that persuasion and your karmic destiny is to be a clam at the bottom of the ocean, then that's certainly going to be rather restful, isn't it?
Ha! A clam at the bottom of the ocean. Goodness me. That would be amusing.
There's an ever-going feast in Valhalla that I look forward to it someday.
I find the prospect of living many different lives to be rather enlightening, but, well, to each their own, I suppose.
The four of you walk through the city. Well, the three of you and the rooster, who is padding along behind you. You eventually come to the windowless stone temple in the center of the city, but first you cross over a massive stone bridge surrounding some sort of pit that encircles the entire temple. You look down, and for a moment your eyes don't quite focus on what you see in front of you. It looks like a sea of white, of ivory. And then it occurs to you that they are bones, millions and millions and millions of bones, all inside this huge pit encircling the stone palace. Around you, you see bats and owls and spiders, and you know that they are fierce warriors for the Lord and Lady of Death, able to peck out the eyes of anyone who attempts to steal their bones back and bring them to the surface. As you walk to the palace, a bat flutters down and then hangs itself from an entryway. It speaks in a high-pitched voice, and it says, "Announce yourselves for the Lord and Lady."
It is I, Emmanuel Montero. If you look at me, you should know who my Scion is. God of fire and prosperity. I've come for an audience. With my two companions here, best introduce yourselves as well.
I'm Sigrun Askerdotter, carved by Loki, but recarved into the image standing before you by myself, by my own hand.
Ah, yes, I am Rashmi Bhattacharya. You can refer to me as the Hidden Javelin of Agni, if you wish, but that's mostly just a professional title.
The bat drops from the top of the overhang and almost makes an audible slap upon the stone ground. It takes you a minute until its muffled voice begins speaking again, Emmanuel, to realize that it's prostrating itself. It says, "Welcome, Turquoise Lord."
Good, again, I know that this isn't strictly my domain, but I am linked to it after all, so hopefully my coming is agreeable with the Lord and Lady.
The bat, without a word, starts to flutter and guides you through a series of corridors. You walk along the corridors. There are sconces burning in the wall along the wall, with flames of bright white and orange and red, and occasionally you see blues and greens and purples mixed throughout them, giving the area a riotous display of color as you walk through its otherwise featureless halls. Eventually, you come to a great throne room. Two massive thrones sit in the center of the room, and there, it's perhaps 3 to 4 meters up in the sky, are the Lord and Lady, themselves skeletons. Mikte Kaki Huatl and Mikt Lan Tekutli, the Lady and the Lord. Out of deference to you, that's how we will refer to them as we continue going here. The Lord stands to greet you, Emmanuel. Turquoise Lord, also known to me as Huhatwatl, the old god. Every time you perish, you come down to my realm, and you snatch your bones from my pile. And you live yet again.
Yes, but you know I do that respectfully, and I try my best to not come all the time. I respect the realm of the dead. I simply have things to do.
The lady stands and places a bony hand on her husband's arm. And she says, "Peace, Lord." She turns to you and says, "You are welcome in our halls, Turquoise Lord. What would you ask of us? Why have you come here?"
I require, or rather ask for passage for myself and my two companions here, Sigrun and Rashmi. We need to get to Valhalla. We need to return this fine bird to its rightful home. I have been led to believe that you are able to assist in this matter. I understand I will need to pay something, and I am happy to spend, as it were.
The Lord says that you're bringing a chicken to Valhalla.
It is a rooster, and it's not just any rooster.
The lady says, "No, it's quite a large rooster. You're right."
It is a sign that the Ragnarok is upon us, that the end of time starts, unless we get him back.
So, how do you wish to pay for your service down here? In blood, in sacrifice, in gold?
Well, what do I think would be most accepted?
Probably blood.
Is there something maybe I would know? If I, for example, just shed blood with my own sacred knife, Is it the kind of bloodletting where that's everything, or is it the kind of thing where they might have a bit of a advantage over me in the future by collecting my blood now?
No. There's no sort of blood magic there. However, what they're probably asking for is a sacrifice of lives, or at least a sacrifice of life. Promise us the bones of 20 men, and you may have passage from our realm. The lady says, we also accept flowers.
You have listened to an episode of Red Moon Roleplaying, where we played Scion, Demigod, which is published by our friends at Onyx Path Publishing and is on Kickstarter right now. Our game master was Neil Price, and Craig was joined by Jenny Bremberg and the Primogen. The music was created by Lisa Listvi and Mount Shrine, and was used with permission from their label, Cryochamber. Visit cryochamber.bandcamp.com or their YouTube channel for more music for your games. We would like to give massive thanks to our champions of the Red Moon, Martin Heuschober, Nastasia Raulerson, Simon Cooper, David, Julia, and David Hagberg for their generous support. And we would of course like to thank all of our other patrons. Without your support, the show would not be possible. If you want to support our work, please check us out on Patreon. You can get access to bonus campaigns for Cult of Divinity Lost and Coriolis there, as well as get early and raw access to all of our recordings. You can also hear your name read on the show as a champion of the Red Moon, as well as play Cult with us. Most importantly, that support is what keeps the show going, so do check us out there. Thank you for listening, and see you soon again.